Would you believe that someone at the Supreme Court, maybe whoever leaked the original Alito Draft, maybe someone else, is still at it? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is another declaration of truth from your host, Terry A. Hurlbut. You're not going to believe this, but we're still getting leaks from the Supreme Court. Worse than that is what they show. This whole thing, going clear back to when Justice Samuel Alito wrote his opinion, has paralyzed the court. They cannot settle this case to save their lives, it seems. We're going to talk about what the court will try to do about this and what this could mean for the court moving forward. Before I begin, I want to shout out to our sponsor of this channel, which is Conservative News and Views. Link in the description. Be sure to check out the awesome CNAV Store. Scroll down near the bottom for that link. Lots of good merchandise there, including this t-shirt, Rhino Hunting. And while I'm at it, I want to shout out to another sponsor, BitNext. This is your replacement for Zoom, Slack, the Google G Suite, Microsoft Office 365, Dropbox, WeTransfer, and Chili Piper, among others. Unlike any of them, BitNext protects your content and conversations so well even the administrators can't see it. So this is your channel for secure comms, conferencing, cloud storage, and file sharing. Best of all, everything is back-end, so you don't even need client software. If you have a browser, you can use BitNext. Follow the link and give them a try. 28 days free of charge. Can't beat that with a stick. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the latest intel briefing will now begin. Hold on to your hats and your heads. Let's review. On May 2nd, someone leaked the first draft of Samuel A. Alito's proposed majority opinion in Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization. I have a link in the description to that draft. In it, Justice Alito delivered a brutal summary of abortion law and the Roe and Casey decisions. Alito essentially accused the court of arrogating to itself the power to 1. Legislate from the bench, and 2. Presume to tell the American public to accept the court's word as law. I have another link in the description to the keyword search that will give you every article I have written on this drama since it began. Now, fast forward to today. Politico got yet another leak from the still mysterious Mr. Piffwitz. Now, for those of you in Rush Limbaugh's Rio Linda, Piffwitz means person familiar with the situation, and it could be a Mrs. or a Ms. According to them, even since February 10th, the date of the Alito draft, no other draft opinion has circulated. That means we have no dissents and no concurrence in part and dissent in part from Chief Justice Roberts or anyone else. Wouldn't you have expected the dissents to have come in and Alito to be working on his revision and rebuttal to them? But instead, nothing! And get this, the court hasn't even had one meeting since the leak. I expected them to meet the very next day, but no. Instead, they will meet today, May 12th, according to no fewer than 2 Messrs. Piffwitz. They state that the distribution of votes on the Dobbs case remains what it was. 5 votes to overrule Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood of Southeastern Pennsylvania v. Casey. 1 vote, that of Chief Justice Roberts, to save the Roe and Casey precedents but still reverse the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals and the U.S. District Court for the, presumably, Southern District of Mississippi, thus allowing the Gestational Age Act of 2018 to stand, meaning no abortions beyond 15 weeks, and 3 votes to affirm the Fifth Circuit strike down of the Mississippi law and preserve Roe and Casey intact. The identities of the voting justices also remain the same. Justice Alito, Barrett, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Thomas in the majority, Chief Justice Roberts to concur in part and dissent in part, and Justices Breyer, Kagan, and Sotomayor dissenting in whole. But regardless of how many of them plan to vote on the Dobbs case, all agree on one thing, and that is the Alito draft leak is the worst thing that has ever happened to the court. Someone has betrayed the court, and all 9 justices feel that. Or do they? You want to know what I think? By now, I've narrowed it down to one of 2 justices who arranged that leak. First is Sotomayor, who has a reputation for intemperate questioning and oral argument and for hiring the wokest clerks. The other one I suspect would be Roberts. I still don't like how quickly the fences went up around the courthouse even before the story broke, and that Rena mob gathered almost immediately after the fences went up. Now, what can happen at that meeting? Who can tell? When 5 justices said they would vote to overturn Roe and Casey, Roberts assigned Alito to write for the majority. Now, maybe had he assigned Thomas or any of the Trump appointees, the usual give and take would have started back in February. Instead, Roberts assigned Alito. Now, Alito has a reputation for writing opinions as brutal as the late Antonin Scalia used to write. Roberts should have thought of that when he made the assignment, but he didn't. So when Alito turned in an opinion that savagely called the court on its historical arrogance in a scene that would have had Thomas Jefferson grinning ear to ear and saying, "See, I told you so," he literally took his colleague's breath away. If these Messrs. Piffwits are telling the truth, nobody could think of anything to say back. So Chief Justice Roberts, Mr. Consensus, tried to peel off one of the Trump appointees, meaning Barrett, Gorsuch, or Kavanaugh. No joy. And the other 3 are so apoplectic they can't even think of anything to write in dissent. Either that or the CJ told them to wait for him to craft a consensus. Well, here it is going into May and still no consensus. So what happens? Either Roberts leaks the draft to shake the court up, or Sotomayor leaks it to start the demonstrations that are still going on. Now, if Roberts' conduct in the Texas versus Pennsylvania case is anything to go by, he will try again to break the majority and get on a compromise opinion. He will harangue, browbeat, roar about riots in the streets, on and on and on. But this time, the majority will hold. In the Texas case, the Trump appointees might have had reason to fear popular sentiment and hope for the best. Not this time. Not after Joe Biden made a mess of things. And he gave the game away. That's right. He actually admitted that abortion kills a child, and he is copacetic with it. So those 5 justices are not scared. They're angry and obdurate. One had to expect Thomas to go along with Alito's logic in any case. That's why Messrs. Piffwits have not talked at all about anyone trying to sway Thomas. But Trump's appointees now know the score. Maybe they have their suspicions. Alito and his colleagues won't press for a resignation. Surely they know that Joe Biden, or rather Barack Obama, who's been handling him all this time, will elevate Merrick Garland to the court, and that will just create a worse problem. So they'll figure, better the devil they know than the devil they don't know. But they will never, never trust their liberal colleagues again. And no, Roberts won't save Roe versus Wade. Worse than that, someone has violated the unwritten universal justice to justice respect law, and that those 5 justices might never forgive. Links to the description of the article, to the Alito Draft, to the keyword search, and to conservative news and views. I have another link to the awesome online store and to BitNext, as I mentioned. And if you like what you've heard, you can like this channel, like this video, and subscribe to this channel. This is Terry A. Hurlbut delivering another declaration of truth and reminding you to let the truth set you free.